Part 73. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu Ge. Chapter 725. The two chatted for a while, but Guanghui didn't hear Qin Ji's reply. Looking sideways, he saw that he had fallen asleep on the pillow. Guanghui couldn't help but said with distress, "Commander seems to be exhausted today, or maybe it's not just today. The pressure over the past period of time has also exhausted him. Go to sleep, no matter what happens, the light will always be by your side." Although Qin Ji had fallen asleep, Guanghui did not stop because of this. He pressed Qin Ji's whole body with a gentler technique before stopping and hugging Qin Ji into sleep. When the soft sunlight filled the room through the window, Qin Ji opened his eyes leisurely. The first thing he saw was Guanghui staring at his smiling face. This made Qin Ji feel for a moment that he was probably the happiest person in the world, right? "Good morning, Commander," Guanghui said with a smile. Qin Ji chuckled and kissed Guanghui's face. "Good morning. It seems that I was a little confused last night and fell asleep so early. By the way, what time is it now?" Commander was too tired last night, so he should go to bed early. "It's almost 8 o'clock now, so it's not too late, so I didn't wake up the commander. I wanted you to sleep a little longer," Guanghui explained. "It seems that I have been slacking off recently. When I return to the port area, I must resume my previous schedule as soon as possible," Qin Ji said with a smile, "otherwise, my body will soon become rusty." "Haha, it seems that the commander is already thinking about a happy life in the future," Guanghui said with a smile. Qin Ji was embarrassed. Forget it, get up. I have to go to Akashi's place this morning." By the time Qin Ji got up, finished breakfast and left the guest house, it was already around 10 o'clock in the morning. This time the ship girl following him was not Belfast or Glory from before, but Sirius. Because Hood was going to hold a tea party today, he borrowed the almighty Belfast from Qin Ji. This was very good news for Sirius, who was a hard worker at housework. So she took the initiative to ask for help and followed Qin Ji. Although the ship girls from other camps also wanted to go out with the love song, considering that they were coming to the royal territory this time, they tacitly agreed not to argue with the royal ship girls. After walking on a somewhat unfamiliar road and looking at the Western European style on both sides of the street that was completely different from Donghuang, Qin Ji couldn't help but look at Sirius behind him. "Sirius, are you sure this is the way?" Sirius nodded firmly, shaking the turbulent waves. "Based on the information given by the people at the guest house, it is indeed this way. So don't worry, Master. No matter how unsatisfactory Sirius' housework is, his fighting instinct is still there, my proud master." Qin Ji couldn't help but chuckle. "I'm not questioning anything, I just came to a strange environment and am a little unsure about the surroundings. And I trust you, Sirius." Hearing Qin Ji's words, Sirius's cheeks flushed. Being able to gain the trust of the master is what Sirius is most proud of, my proud master. Qin Ji was already very familiar with Sirius's performance, so he wasn't surprised or had too many thoughts. Not long after leaving, Qin Ji saw a familiar building at a pier. "Here we are, it's Akashi's grocery store as expected." Qin Ji looked at the building in front of him and smiled. "Sirius, I'm a little curious. Akashi has spread groceries to every corner of the world, but she's only one person. Could it be that she knows the art of cloning?" Sirius can't answer the master's question. "Sure enough, Sirius is a useless maid." "Please punish me, my proud master," Sirius replied. Looking at Sirius, whose face was getting weirder and weirder, Qin Ji quickly shook his head. "Forget it. If I don't know, I don't expect to know the answer right away, and this is someone else's secret, isn't it? Come on, let's go in and see if Akashi is here." "Yes, thank you for your kindness, my proud master." Qin Ji couldn't help but be speechless when he saw the slightly disappointed Sirius, and hurriedly walked into the grocery store. The layout of the grocery store here is similar to the layout of the grocery store in Donghuan Commander Academy, and what's more amazing is that there is a very familiar ship girl sitting at the counter. Shiranui, Qin Ji looked at the ship girl and couldn't help but said, "Yes, welcome. Visitors from Donghuang are really rare," Shiranui said to Qin Ji. Because Qin Ji was wearing a navy uniform today, it was not surprising at all that Shiranui recognized him as the commander from Donghuang. "Are you the one from Donghuang Commander Academy?" Qin Ji asked doubtfully. "No, guest, you made a mistake. And you came to the store today not just to ask about my identity. If you need anything, please tell me or buy it yourself," Shiranui said to Qin Ji. Obviously she did not talk to her. Qin Ji continued to discuss the idea of his identity. Qin Ji nodded, then said to Shiranui, "I came here today to ask if there are any oath rings for sale here." Hearing Qin Ji ask about the oath ring, Shiranui's dull eyes brightened, and she quickly nodded. "It turns out to be a big deal. Commander, we do have the oath ring here. Do you need it?" "Several." Hearing Shiranui's answer, Qin Ji breathed a sigh of relief, and finally couldn't help laughing at himself. Could it be that he could still sell out all the vow rings in this store? So he said to Shiranui, "Well, I need about 50. "Are you sure there are 50 guests?" Shiranui, who was calm at first, couldn't help but open his eyes wide when he heard Qin Ji's answer. Although his words were the same as before, he could clearly hear a sense of surprise in them. Qin Ji nodded, "Yes, I brought all the red tips." After Qin Ji finished speaking, he waved to Sirius behind him. Sirius immediately stepped forward, opened the ship's space, and took out the red tip placed inside. These red tips are the spoils of this siren tide, and what Qin Ji took out today was only part of them, and some of them were kept at Bismarck's place. Looking at the red tips on the table, Shiranui's eyes also glowed with red light, but she immediately calmed down. "Guest, our store doesn't have that many rings of pledge for the time being. We need to ask the main store to allocate them here, or else the guest will come back tomorrow." Qin Ji was stunned for a moment, then said, "Isn't it right? Such a big store doesn't even have 50 rings of oath." Shiranui explained, "The oath ring is a valuable item. The stock of items like that in the store is relatively small. Not every commander will buy dozens of them." Can you contact Akashi?" Qin Ji asked. "I still have something to ask her." "Akashi? Do you know each other?" Shiranui asked doubtfully. "Yes, we are cooperating, and she also opened a grocery store in my port area. Please contact her and tell her that Qin Ji wants to do business with her," Qin Ji explained. "I understand. It turns out you are Commander Qin Ji. Please wait a moment. I will contact Akashi immediately." My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Ji. Chapter 726. Shiranui quickly contacted Akashi, and Akashi on the other side heard that Qin Ji had come to the royal shop and was going to trade 50 oath rings, so he quickly appeared in the shop. "Commander Qin Ji, long time no see, meow." "Long time no see. How is the port area in Guam lately?" Qin Ji said, shaking his hand at Akashi, who appeared from behind the store. "You seem to be the owner there, ask me what's going on, Naya," Akashi said speechlessly. "I'm still in the royal family. I haven't had time to go back and can't receive any information from there, so I just wanted to ask you," Qin Ji explained. "Okay," Akashi nodded understandingly. "Everything in Guam is very normal. The person you want to know about the most is in relatively stable condition and can already get out of bed and walk, but his body is still relatively weak." Hearing what Akashi said, Qin Ji suddenly felt relieved. "Does that mean Akagi and Yu Yan haven't arrived yet?" "Ember? I do know some information, but from what Commander Qin Ji said, does it mean that Ember is going to your port area, Akashi asked with interest. Yes, because they came to this world without a place to live, so they stayed in my port area for the time being, Shinji replied. But they are not ordinary ship girls, and each of them is not easy to get along with, Akashi reminded. Shinji smiled and said, I know that it is precisely because of this that I have to keep these unstable situations under my nose. Okay, Akashi changed his tone, now that we've finished chatting, let's get down to business, meow. Did you say you wanted to buy 50 rings of pledge, meow? That's right, Shinji nodded, although the siren tide is dangerous this time, the danger also means that the benefits are very high. I harvested a lot of red tips when I attacked the stronghold in the sea. Akashi's eyes lit up after hearing this. It seems that you need more than 50 rings of oath. Could it be that Commander Shinji is planning to open a harem, just like those emperors in ancient Donghuang, who had 3,000 beauties in the harem? Shinji rolled his eyes. Compared to other commanders, 50 rings of oath is indeed a bit too much, but I also have a lot of ship girls, there are more than 200 of them now, and there may only be more in the future. And the ring of oath is also the best way to respond to their feelings, not to open a harem. And even if I open a harem, do you think my body can handle so many people? Akashi smiled ambiguously. It turns out that Commander Shinji is worried about this. It's not that there is no solution. I'm currently developing a potion that is suitable for the commander to use. Its function is to strengthen the commander's body. Although it's impossible to reach the level of a ship girl, but it's not a big problem to surpass many ordinary people, Naya. Ahem, let's talk about this later. Let's talk about the Ring of Oath first. Although Shinji was a little moved, he quickly recovered and said to Akashi, when I gave you the Ring of Glorious Oath, I was given a wedding dress as a gift, the one called Love and Morning Star. I bought so many this time, so there should be a gift for each one, right? Akashi was speechless. It takes time. What do you mean? Shinji asked confused. I am saying that those wedding dresses take time, Akashi said helplessly, because those wedding dresses are made of the same material as the ship uniforms worn by the ship girls, and they are all transformed from the mind cube. The raw materials are resources such as steel. Therefore, each wedding dress takes a certain amount of time. Last time, it happened to be available. This time, Commander Shinji needed 50, so he had to check the inventory before deciding. After all, the wedding dresses belonging to each ship girl are different. Meow. I understand. Anyway, the 50 rings of oath will definitely not be given away in a short period of time, Shinji said. I know, meow. I have been preparing resources recently. If Commander Shin needs it, tell me the name of the ship girl, and I will make him a wedding dress that belongs to that ship girl, Akashi said. Okay, Shinji nodded. According to the price, 50 rings of oath cost 30,000 red tips. Although Shinji has no shortage of red tips, it would be a bit of a loss for such a large deal without any discount. So after repeated arguments with Akashi, we negotiated the final price and got a 20% discount. It was almost noon when he returned to the guest house. When he returned to the room, he changed into more casual clothes and asked Sirius to put the oath ring in his room. Shinji breathed a sigh of relief. The next step is to decide who owns these rings. Shinji looked at the pile of rings placed in the closet and touched his chin. Centaur and Nashiro must give it to me. After all, they are the first batch of ship girls I summoned. They have followed me for the longest time and are the most familiar with each other. Then, what Yujin said, she would definitely make fun of her if I gave her the ring, but I have to give it to Rodney, and what Ayanami said. When Shinji thought of Lingbo's student-like appearance, he muttered in his heart, although he looks young, it is a destroyer after all. If it is given to Lingbo, wouldn't Spence, well, forget it, let's see then. Just when Shinji was struggling, there was a knock on the door. Qin Ji immediately closed the closet door and looked in the direction of the room door. Please come in. The door was opened, and Guanghui walked in with a smile. Guian, Commander, I saw serious figure. I thought you should be back, so I came over to take a look. Sure enough, you are in the room. Is everything going well this morning? Qin Ji nodded, it went very smoothly. I bought the vow ring. Akashi is also making the subsequent wedding dress. Now we have confirmed the partner. Oh, Guanghui said with a smile, how many oath rings did you buy this time? Isn't it the same as last time and only bought 2? Qin Ji shook his head, no, I bought 50. Guanghui was obviously shocked by Qin Ji's words. Commander, did I hear you correctly? Did you say 50 instead of 5? It's 50, Qin Ji confirmed. Guanghui looked at Qin Ji with a strange look and said, Commander, this is really surprising. I thought Commander would buy a few step by step this time and wait until next time. But he didn't expect to buy 50 of them unexpectedly. It seems that the Commander really wants to open a big harem. Qin Ji quickly waved his hand, isn't it true that I have more red tips on hand, and for our fleet, apart from the Ring of Oath, other uses of red tips have not been developed yet, so I bought more. Some. Guanghui smiled and said, since there are 50 oath rings, there are a lot of options. Also, Commander, can I reserve 3 first? Ah. Don't you already have it? I want to give it to my 3 sisters. 3? Hasn't Indomitable not been summoned yet? I mean Unicorn. Ha. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Ji. Chapter 727. Isn't the unicorn too small? Qin Ji looked at the light in front of him and said a little awkwardly. He was still struggling with Ayanami's matter before, but he didn't expect that Guanghui would also ask him to leave a ring for the unicorn at this time. The unicorn is not young anymore. A unicorn knows everything a royal lady should know. And isn't she usually on a very good relationship with you? Guanghui said with a smile. Qin Ji hesitated for a moment, let's talk about this later. After all, I always feel a little abnormal when facing them now. When Guanghui heard Qin Ji's answer, he couldn't help but cover his mouth and chuckle, don't worry, Commander, the Gendarmerie of the Maritime Safety Administration can't control our port area. At present, we are independent of the 9 major camps. Fleet, so you don't have to worry about other people's eyes at all. Qin Ji couldn't help but smile bitterly, the most important thing is not other people's eyes, but that I don't want to be like this in my heart. So let's do it step by step. Maybe one day in the future, I can change myself quietly like before, and then give the ring to it's not impossible to get it into their hands. Well, it was just my suggestion before. After all, the choice of the wedding ship is the commander's business. I will not interfere with the commander's choice. I will only silently bless you when you choose. Guanghui smiled. Road. Thank you, Guanghui, Qin Ji said gratefully. No need to thank you. Guanghui shook his head and then said, then what are you going to do, Commander, give the rings to them while we are on this trip, or wait until we return to the port area? I want to give the ring to them during a trip. What do you think? Qin Ji asked. I believe it must be a very romantic thing, but I have a suggestion here, that is, the commander can just give them the oath ring, and never wear it on their hands. Guanghui said. Why? Qin Ji asked doubtfully. Guanghui smiled softly and explained to Qin Ji, Commander, do you still remember our previous oath ceremony? Of course I remember, that should be considered one of the most important moments in my life, Qin Ji said with a smile. Guanghui said with a smile, that was also the most important moment in my life, and for a ship girl or a woman, That kind of moment is the most important moment in my life. Under the spotlight, having your favorite person wear your own vow ring for you, the feeling of happiness is unparalleled. And before that, during the period from the confirmation of the relationship, the anticipation, excitement, and happiness were unparalleled. If the commander directly put the oath ring on them, then the sense of expectation and happiness will be reduced. Therefore, I suggest that the commander can hand over the entire ring of oath to them as a kind of agreement. Then when we return to the port area, we will have an oath ceremony with them under the watchful eyes of everyone in our fleet. This will be perfect. Qin Ji nodded thoughtfully. I didn't expect what you said, Guanghui, but you also reminded me, and I will do what you said. But I had already put the Belfast ring on her finger. What should I do? Guanghui smiled and shook his head. Belfast is different from other ship girls. Your recognition is her greatest happiness. What's more, as your personal maid, she must have guessed that such a day would come. So Commander, don't take it too seriously. After we return to the port area, we can make up for a vow ceremony in Belfast that belongs only to her without her knowledge. I believe that the surprise and happiness at that time will also be deeply remembered by her. Qin Ji nodded. I understand. I will handle this matter carefully, but because she is always by my side, I will have to ask Guanghui for your help when the time comes. Don't worry, Commander, your matter is Guanghui's matter, and I will definitely assist you with all my strength when the time comes, Guanghui said with a smile. With you by my side, everything is much more assured, Qin Ji said with a smile. Then, I won't accompany you anymore. I have less time to stay in the royal family, so I have to take advantage of this time to hand over the ring. Give it to them. Hey, are you in such a hurry? Guanghui asked doubtfully. Then has the commander decided on the candidate? Qin Ji nodded. There are already several candidates. Oh, who are they? Can you tell me and let me hear it? Guanghui asked curiously. The first is the Centaur. Although Nashiro is the first ship girl I summoned, Nashiro has already followed Shiji Sakura's people back to the port area, so as one of the first batch of Centaurs summoned, she has been with me the longest, so I decided to give the ring to her first, Qin Ji said. Centaur? This is a very good choice. As far as I know, she also likes you very much, and has been by the commander's side from the beginning. She has been a very good ship girl until now. I very supportive, Guanghui said with a smile. And where are the others? Qin Ji continued. Rodney, she helped me a lot in the beginning, and she is usually very gentle. Her quiet personality makes her a little transparent, but I always keep it in my mind, so she must be gotta give it to one. Well, Rodney is indeed a good girl, so who else is it? Chung Ching, that is Aurora, Qin Ji said. Giving roses to others will leave a lingering fragrance in your hands. Aurora has also been with me for a long time, and she usually gets along very well with other people in the port area, so if you want to give a ring, then you must not be able to escape her. Indeed, I still remember that during our vow ceremony, the bouquet of roses I held in my hand was picked by Aurora herself. She is also a very gentle person, Guanghui smiled. Then there are others. Who is it? Your Majesty, Dido, Sirius, and your two sisters are also under consideration, Qin Ji said. So this time the commander is only going to give the ring to the royal ship girls, Guanghui asked doubtfully. What about the ship girls from other camps? If the commander does this, they will definitely be unwilling to do so, this I still hope the commander can consider this matter carefully. Qin Ji shook his head. Of course that's not the case, because we are staying in the royal family now, so I want to try my best to satisfy the mood of the royal ship girl first. After all, our time in the royal family is limited, and then we will go to the Northern United, Iron Blood, Iris, camps such as Sardinia and White Eagle. So I plan to invite them out when I stay in these camps, and give them the rings while traveling. It seems that the commander has already made a plan, So just follow your plan. I believe they will be very surprised by this plan. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 728. After changing into a commander's uniform, Qin Ji arranged his appearance into the best condition with Guanghui's help, then took out a box containing the Ring of Oath from the closet, and left his room with Guanghui's smile. Go to the door of the room where the centaur lives. Arriving outside the door of the centaur's room, Qin Ji took a deep breath, then touched the box of the oath ring through his trouser pocket, and with a firm look in his eyes, he stretched out his hand and knocked gently on the centaur's door. Just as the knock on the door rang, a centaur's voice sounded in the room, "Wait a moment." As soon as the voice fell, the door opened within a few breaths, revealing a centaur wearing light clothing. When the centaur saw Qin Ji standing outside her door, she was startled. Obviously, she did not expect that the person knocking on the door was her commander. "Commander? Didn't you go out with Sirius this morning? When did you come back? Come in quickly," the centaur asked as he opened the door and invited Qin Ji in. Qin Ji shook his head. "I won't go in. I came here just to ask if you have time now." There is time, although he didn't know why his commander was so stable, since Qin Ji asked, even if something happened, he could postpone it a little. "Well, that's great. I was just thinking about going out for a walk, but I feel a little lonely alone. If you don't mind, can we come together?" Qin Ji said with a smile. Commander, this is..." The centaur immediately realized that this was an invitation from Qin Ji. "Consider it a date," Qin Ji responded. "Well, if you have time, let's go right away," the centaur said happily. After all, it was Qin Ji who came personally to invite her out on a date. Such an opportunity was very rare. But as soon as the centaur stepped out of the door, he saw the casual clothes he was wearing. Then he immediately said to Qin Ji with a hint of embarrassment, "Commander, I'm sorry, can you wait for me for a moment while I go change my clothes?" Qin Ji nodded, "Okay, then I'll wait for you in the lobby downstairs. After you change your clothes, just come to me." "Yes, Commander, it won't be long," the centaur said with a smile and hurriedly closed the door. Obviously she was also anxious. Seeing this, Qin Ji couldn't help but shake his head and smile, and then walked along the stairs towards the hall on the first floor. After arriving in the hall, I found two figures sitting on the sofa in the hall. "St. Louis, Helena, didn't you two go out to play?" Qin Ji said hello to the two of them and approached. "Haha, we went out for a while in the morning and bought some things. However, because of the war we just experienced, many shops here were not open, so we came back early. By the way, there are also some small gifts bought for the commander, but it seems that the commander should have something to do now, so he can come to my room to find me later." St. Louis smiled. Qin Ji nodded, because the geographical location of Fog City is similar to that of London in his previous world. They are both coastal cities. Therefore, they also experienced relatively intense wars during this Siren Tide, so that even now the war is over, but many shops are still closed. "Thank you very much. I will take the time to go to your room when I come back tonight," Qin Ji said with a smile. Hearing what Qin Ji said, St. Louis looked at Qin Ji in surprise, and then saw the bulging mark in Qin Ji's pocket. He seemed to have thought of something and couldn't help but smile. "Who are you going to go out with, Commander?" St. Louis smiled. "I remember you went out with Sirius this morning, right?" "That's right, I went out with Sirius this morning and went to Akashi's grocery store. I learned about the current information about our port area from her, but it seems that Magi and Ember haven't returned to the port area yet. By the way, bought some things. Now I am going to go out with Centaur. After all, she is a royal ship girl and is familiar with this place in her memory, so I want her to take me out to visit." Qin replied. We have only been here for a few days. Even if Magi and the others travel day and night, it will take half a month to get back to Guam. It won't be that fast. St. Louis smiled and said, Commander will also go to Beijing in the future. Of course, because of the distance, I accepted the royal invitation to come here this time. On the one hand, I want to relax after the war. On the other hand, I also discuss future cooperation with the royal family. After that, I will go to the northern United Iron and Blood and other places. Qin replied. I understand. St. Louis nodded. While the two were talking, a figure quickly came down the stairs. It was a centaur. At this time, she had changed out of her previous casual clothes and put on her usual ship clothes again. Commander, I've been waiting for a long time. The centaur came to Qin and said, then bowed to St. Louis and Helena on the side, Guian, Senior St. Louis, Senior Helena. That's too polite, Centaur. St. Louis smiled, and then said to Qin, then we won't disturb the commander, but we still hope that the commander will remember what happened at night. Okay, then you can rest first. Qin nodded to the two of them and left the hall with the centaur. Looking at Qin's retreating figure, St. Louis had a playful smile on his lips. Haha, it seems that the commander has also grown up. Helena on the side looked at St. Louis in confusion. Sister St. Louis, what does it mean that the commander has grown up? St. Louis looked at Helena, shook his head, smiled and said, Helena, let me ask you, do you like the commander? Helena really didn't expect St. Louis to ask so straightforwardly, and her face turned crimson all of a sudden. It seems that I like it, St. Louis said with a smile. Then if the commander gives you the ring of oath, will you accept it? Do I have the qualifications? Helena was not shy, but murmured hesitantly. Seeing Helena suddenly become like this, St. Louis couldn't help but smile, put his arms on Helena's shoulders, and held Helena in his arms. Haha, of course. In fact, not only the commander, but Helena is also working hard to grow, isn't it? St. Louis smiled. I don't know, but Sister St. Louis, I will continue to work hard in the future, Helena said to St. Louis, and then her expression became confused. But why did Sister St. Louis suddenly ask this question? St. Louis smiled and looked at the place where Qin disappeared, because the commander's pocket just now probably contained the ring of oath. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Ge. Chapter 729. I thought you would change into some clothes, but I didn't expect you to wear your original clothes. Qin held the centaur's hand and said with a smile. I just thought a lot, but I always feel that the commander is wearing regular clothes. If I wear other clothes, it will not match, so I just wear this one. Don't you like it, commander? Asked the centaur. Qin shook his head. How could that be? You look good no matter what you wear, how could I not like it? Hearing Qin's words, the centaur's face couldn't help but blush. Thank you. Thank you, it's just like this, Qin said with a smile, and then said to the centaur, Centaur, do you know where the scenery is better near the foggy city? The centaur shook his head. I don't know. Although I have the memory of being in the royal family, the current foggy city is not very similar to the royal family where I was before. But if I remember correctly, the scenery will be better if you walk along the Thames River from here to the outlet. Qin nodded. Then let's walk in that direction, so we can have a good chat on the way. Walking along the Thames River, it was different from the direction he walked in Belfast before, because the place the centaur took Qin to was the outskirts of the city, not the center. As the two of them walked, there were fewer and fewer buildings around them, replaced by spacious roads and dense woods beside them. It feels like I haven't seen such a beautiful scene for a long time. In my recent memories, there are always rough seas and the smell of gunpowder smoke. It really makes people relax. Qin couldn't help but look at the scenery in front of him. He sighed with relief. The Centaur looked at Qin Ji with distressed eyes. As a member of the fleet, she naturally knew Qin Ji's efforts during this period. "Thank you for your hard work, Commander. Thanks to you, we were able to achieve such a glorious victory and be able to come here to enjoy the scenery at this moment." Qin Ji smiled and shook his head. "Don't take all the credit on me. Without your heroic fighting, there would be no victory at all. But now is not the time to talk about this. Now is our date. It feels like I haven't been alone with you like this for a long time. I'm really embarrassed, Centaur." "No, Commander is busy every day. I am very happy to see you by my side," the Centaur said with a smile. "You always have such a personality," Qin Ji said helplessly. In the port area, Centaur has a good-natured character. For some people, she is even easier to get along with than the Royal Maid team, especially some destroyers. Because Centaur launched into the water relatively late, World War II had already ended when she launched into the water. Therefore, for ship girls who participated in World War II and even World War I, Centaurs are juniors. And she herself admires these seniors with war experience very much, even when facing some destroyers in the port area. When Xiang Qin Ji was still in the Commander Academy, Centaur and Spence talked together for the first time. Seeing an aircraft carrier that was obviously much bigger than him call him senior, Spence, who loved to cry, cried on the spot. I got excited, and finally, with Qin Ji's comfort, I accepted the title Centaur. But things got out of hand after that. Apart from the Fletcher-class destroyers, Spence had a good relationship with the Centaurs in the port area. Not only Spence, but also Kisaragi, Matsuki, and others from Shigisakura. I think this is good. The port area is everyone's port area. It can make the seniors feel happy and joyful. That's what a junior should do, and so does the Commander, the Centaur smiled. Well, as long as you're happy, that's all, Qin Ji smiled and said, but I think maybe in addition to treating them as seniors, it's more important to treat them as companions who fight side by side. I understand, the Centaur looked towards the river with a smile. Seniors are all ordinary people like me, just like Spence Senpai loves to cry, Matsuki Senpai likes to eat sweets, Lafite Senpai likes to sleep and drink. Everyone it has various shortcomings. But such real people are also worthy of my respect, of course, not as juniors, but as companions. This is what I learned from the Commander. Because of me? Qin Ji asked doubtfully. The Centaur turned around, put his hands behind his back, and said to Qin Ji, "Yes, Commander, do you always get along happily with everyone? I just learned the way of getting along with you from the Commander, and gradually I got to know everyone's personalities. So this real feeling makes me very happy. This is where the seniors who participated in the war gathered. I can't say that it is an honor to fight with you all, because as far as I know, everyone longs for peace. But it's really great to meet the Commander, join this fleet, and meet so many seniors." Looking at the sincere Centaur in front of him, Qin Ji felt a little moved. What a good girl, I used to be so blessed that I didn't know how lucky I was. Then he smiled and said, "It's great for me to be able to summon you, live with you, and grow together." Looking at the Centaur whose face was gradually turning crimson, Qin Ji continued, "I remember when I just summoned you, you made a lot of jokes, and Node even wanted to draw his sword and chop me. Today is here in the blink of an eye. I have gathered so many ship girls under my command and have achieved such great results. From a new commander, he has become a commander who can act independently. A lot of this is due to you, especially at this moment. I want to share these honors with you, and I want to imagine the future with you." Having said this, Qin Ji put his hand into his pocket and took out the beautifully packaged box. Then, under the surprised eyes of the Centaur, he opened the box, revealing the sparkling oath ring inside. "I have thought of many ways to respond to your feelings, but after much thinking, it seems that only this method can better express my will. Qin Ji smiled and looked at the centaur, making a proposal gesture. So, starting from today, let us walk side by side as a more intimate identity. No matter how many winds and rains there are on the road ahead, no matter whether the road ahead is full of thorns, I am content to be with you. Will you be my wedding ship, centaur? Looking at Qin Ji kneeling in front of him and the shining oath ring in his hand, the centaur felt his tears fall uncontrollably. She never thought that this day would come so suddenly, so that the words she spoke now were tinged with trembling. I do. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Ji. Chapter 730. Good morning. Oh, no, it's already noon now. Bismarck, how are the negotiations with the royal family these 2 days? In the lounge on the second floor, Veneto looked at Bismarck passing by him, smiled and said hello. Bismarck paused and quickly scanned the entire lounge. He found that someone was already sitting in other places, and then sat down directly opposite Veneto. The sincerity of the royal family this time is very satisfactory. They are not only very interested in the scientific research ship, but also the information on the Ember and the corresponding technology. The conditions proposed are also quite satisfactory, Bismarck said lightly. Veneto nodded. After this siren tide, our port area has indeed mastered some things that are very rare for other camps, and the commander's intention is very obvious. As long as other camps are willing, then we must be willing to share these with them. The commander is right, but it is me who is conducting this negotiation. For the sake of the development of our fleet, I think it is necessary to be stricter, Bismarck said. At this time, a figure came to Bismarck carrying 2 cups of black tea, placed 1 cup in front of Bismarck, and sat down next to Bismarck. I also feel that there must be a certain degree of sincerity before we can proceed with future cooperation, the visitor said with a smile. Oh, George V., we are negotiating with the royal family this time. Shouldn't you suggest Bismarck to lower her standards at this time? Veneto looked at King George V, who was sitting down and couldn't help but said in surprise. King George V waved his hand indifferently. This royal family is not that royal family. For me now, the royal family in the fleet is where I belong. Although this place can arouse my favor, it does not represent my belonging. Right here. Just like when you went to the Sardinian Empire later and the commander entrusted you to negotiate with the people of the Sardinian Empire, do you think you will harm the interests of our fleet? Of course not, Veneto replied immediately. Haha, isn't that right? King George V smiled and said, but I think the probability of such a situation happening will be very small. By then, Bismarck will probably come forward. After all, in the port area, some people are responsible. The cutting-edge scientific research is carried out by the iron-blooded ship girls. Bismarck shook his head. Everyone is working hard for the development of the fleet, just like the offshore defense we just went to has always been in charge of the royal family and White Eagle. Haha, you're right, Veneto smiled, then looked at Bismarck as if he had thought of something, and said, according to the current progress, how long will it take to complete the project? Our time is a bit tight now. I have to return to Guam before the Spring Festival. Bismarck and King George V naturally knew what Veneto meant. Qin Ji was from Donghuang, and the Spring Festival every year was a very important festival for him. No matter what, he must rush before the Spring Festival. Return to the port area. I have almost completed the negotiation here. I have said before that our family is very sincere this time. This is the beginning of a good cooperation, Bismarck said. The next step is to wait until the company and the royal family finish talking about communications and special envoys. Problem, that's fine. Then it will be soon, Veneto said thoughtfully. At this moment, Zara came over with a smile and sat next to Veneto. What's so fast? By the time we left the royal palace, most of the items that needed to be negotiated had already been negotiated, Veneto said. Ozara smiled, but I think we will stay for a few more days. Huh? What happened? Did the commander say that? Bismarck asked doubtfully. Zara shook her head. The commander didn't say it clearly, but didn't you all pay attention? Or haven't you heard any rumors in the past 2 days? Veneto and Bismarck looked at each other and shook their heads. Bismarck was in charge of negotiations with the royal family recently, so he didn't care what happened to the fleet. Veneto basically didn't care much about some things and was usually relatively lazy. King George V on the side blinked. I heard something, but I didn't confirm it. So, Miss Zara, could you please tell us more specifically? Of course. Zara smiled slightly, and then lowered her voice and said, the commander went to Akashi's place 2 days ago and spent a large sum of money to buy a batch of things. In the past few days, I have been dating the royal ship girls, first Centaur, then Rodney and Aurora, all of whom have been with the commander for a long time. Every time I come back from a date, I find that the way they look at the commander has changed slightly. The affection revealed in their eyes is exactly the same as Miss Guanghui. When Zara said this, she stopped talking. Everyone here was smart. I believe they can already guess what they said from these words, so there is no point in talking about it anymore. So you are saying that the commander bought a batch of oath rings from Akashi? Recently, he is taking the opportunity of coming to the royal family to give these rings to the royal ship girls, Veneto asked in surprise. Also, do you still remember the very first day when the commander gave his second oath ring to Belfast? Zara said with a smile. Remember? Bismarck nodded, and then remembered Prince Eugen's happy look that day. She rarely saw Prince Eugen showing such an expression. So everyone in the fleet thinks that after this battle on the Siren Tide, the commander has realized something, so he is ready to face everyone's feelings. It is very difficult for someone like him to do this, so there was a tacit understanding among everyone, and they all treated it as if it had not happened, so that the commander would not be embarrassed. And embarrassed? Zara said with a smile. Haha, if you date the royal ship girl when you are in the royal family, then it will be the turn of other ship girls in other camps, Veneto said, then raised his head with some confusion and looked at Bismarck. Bismarck, you have been with the commander for a long time. Do you think that if you go to Iron-Blooded, will the commander invite you out and give you a ring of oath? Bismarck's hand holding the black teacup trembled, and then he placed the cup on the table. Before you care about this issue, first think about yourself. You have been following the commander much longer than I have. After finishing speaking, Bismarck stood up, turned around, and walked out of the rest area. Watching Bismarck's figure gradually disappearing into the rest area, Zara couldn't help but smile. It seems like even a calm Bismarck would panic when faced with this problem. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 731. Lying on Charybdis' lap with a somewhat tired body, enjoying her massage, feeling the softness of his neck and the refreshing fragrance, Qin Ji was in a good mood at this time. In other words, he has been in a good mood these past few days. As the rings were given out one by one, Qin Ji felt very happy when he saw the emotion and surprise radiating from the bottom of the heart of the ship girls who received the rings. Not only because he had a deeper contract with them, but more importantly, he was finally able to respond to their expectations and feelings. Qin Ji's previous experience has always restricted him, making him hesitant when facing the feelings of the ship girl. Now as I slowly gain more experience, this restriction has gradually become blurred. It was precisely because of this that he did something that was beyond the expectations of many ship girls. As for why Charybdis appears here today instead of Belfast, this is of course what Belfast means. She had gotten what she wanted most, and there was still a long time to come. As the head maid, she naturally wanted to make the members of the maid team under her happy, so she spent less time here in recent days and gave more opportunities to other members of the maid team. Master, do you feel relaxed? How is the intensity of my massage? Do you need to slow down a little? Perhaps because the majestic chest obscured his vision, Charybdis could not see the expression on Chin-Ji's face, so he asked softly. Chin-Ji, who had his eyes closed, opened them and looked at the trembling plumpness in front of him. He couldn't help but blush when he smelled the fragrant smell. He quickly closed his eyes and said, "Ahem, Charybdis massaged her very well. It feels like a day my fatigue has been cured by you, so just keep pressing at your own pace." Hearing Chin-Ji's answer, Charybdis showed a happy smile. "It is my honor to serve the master. From now on, the master can summon me at any time whenever he needs me. I will serve the master anytime and anywhere." Although Charybdis's idea is good, I still feel that if this continues, I will be turned into a useless person by you. Chin-Ji said helplessly. "Eh? I can turn the master into a cripple, am I that powerful?" Charybdis asked in surprise. "Of course," Chin-Ji said firmly, "because once you enjoy such gentle care, you feel that you can't live without it in the future. So if this continues for a long time, you will need more and more of these things. Isn't there a saying? It is called going from frugality to luxury, but from luxury to frugality is difficult. So, master doesn't need my service?" Charybdis asked a little disappointed. Chin-Ji quickly shook his head. "No, that's all I said. I just wanted to show that your service is really good." "Really?" Charybdis responded in surprise. Yet Chin-Ji smiled. "In the future, there will be more and more ship girls in our port area, and there will be more and more members of your maid team. If everyone is the same as you, I'm afraid in the future there will be very few places where I need to use my hands. Haha, this is our responsibility, just like the master has to care about the development of the entire port area, so let us play our role in these small places," Charybdis said with a smile. Listening to Charybdis's words, Chin-Ji didn't explain anything anymore. If he said the same thing too much, it would be a bit pretentious. After the massage was completed, Charybdis left Chin-Ji's room with a smile. Only then did Chin-Ji take a breath and recover from his tense mood. After all, the maids in the maid team are in better shape than the other, and Chin-Ji is also a normal man, and he can't help but feel uneasy at all. Therefore, every time he served, he would be on tenterhooks, fearing that he would make a fool of himself and cause ill feelings among the girls on his ship. Only the monarch is left in the royal family. After delivering the rings tomorrow morning, we will set off for the Northern Alliance in the afternoon, Chin-Ji said to himself. Calculating this way, we can almost return before the spring festival. Guam, we can develop well in the future, so that we won't have to be just spectators when we meet the arbiter again. While Chin-Ji was thinking, there was a knock on his door, and Bismarck's voice came from the direction of the door. "Commander, have you rested?" Chin-Ji sat up from the bed in an instant and said to the door, "No, the door is unlocked." "Come in." Then the door opened, and Bismarck's figure walked in from the door. Then she saw Chin-Ji sitting by the bed and putting on shoes. "It seems I was a bit presumptuous. If the commander feels sleepy, I can come tomorrow," Bismarck said softly. "It doesn't matter. I'm not asleep anyway. I'm dressed like this because Charybdis just gave me a massage." Chin-Ji stood up and approached Bismarck and said. "Yes," Bismarck nodded understandingly, "I just came here after meeting Charybdis in the corridor. I just wanted to report to the commander the results of our discussions with the royal family." "So that's it." Chin-Ji pointed to the sofa beside him with a smile. "Then sit down and talk, and I'll get you a glass of water." "That's no need," Bismarck just said, but saw that Chin-Ji had already gone to pour. He could only sigh, took off his hat, and sat on the sofa. Chin-Ji quickly poured 2 glasses of water, sat down next to Bismarck, put the 2 glasses of water on the table, and then asked, "So what's the result?" Bismarck said seriously, the royal family has accepted our conditions. The exchange of resources and information, the sharing and exchange of scientific research results, and subsequent joint matters have all been discussed very smoothly. Qin Ji couldn't help but smile. Haha, it seems that this siren tide also made the royal family feel the crisis. If not, how could they respond so quickly? But having said that, this is also our opportunity. Now we have a good relationship with the Ember Ship girls, and we will try our best to cooperate in the future. In this way, with our hands, we can indirectly make them stronger and enhance the overall strength of this world. Bismarck nodded, but his expression quickly turned a little worried. Commander, what do you think about Ember and the others? I don't know why, but I always feel that they are a little deliberate. Qin Ji smiled and said, I know. Huh, Bismarck looked at the smiling Qin Ji and gradually felt relieved. It seems that the commander has also discovered it. Yes, the first contact between Helena and me was full of deliberateness. I don't know why they did this, but now it seems that they are full of goodwill towards us and there is no hostility, so I will just go with the flow. And as long as they maintain the same attitude in the future, what reason do we have to reject their determination? Qin Ji said with a smile. What about cooperation with Ember after that? Give it to me. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu Ji. Chapter 732. Commander, isn't this too risky? Bismarck said, looking at Qin Ji with a firm look in his eyes. Qin Ji shook his head. No, I can feel it. They don't mean any harm. But it's not certain that they will make some changes in the future, Bismarck said seriously. Qin Ji smiled and turned to look at Bismarck, just watching quietly until the serious expression on Bismarck's face faded, leaving a trace of panic. Commander, is there something on my face? Bismarck said unconfidently. Qin Ji smiled and raised his palm, gently caressing Bismarck's face. No, I just feel that you are different from the iron-blooded prime minister you are today. I feel a little nervous. Can you tell me why? Bismarck was stunned for a moment, then lowered his head with a rosy face. Commander, don't tease me. Have you heard the rumors in the fleet? Qin Ji put down his palm and said. Some. Bismarck nodded. Qin Ji smiled and said, Bismarck, do you think I am doing this right? Bismarck hesitated and said, the oath ring is also a type of ship equipment. If everyone in the port area can equip it on a large scale, it will indeed improve the combat effectiveness of our fleet. It's really your style of answer, Qin Ji smiled, but the meaning it represents is also unique. Actually, it's up to the commander to make the decision in this matter. You don't need to ask me, Bismarck said. So, what if I give you one? Qin Ji looked at Bismarck with burning eyes and said. It was clearly visible that after hearing Qin Ji's words, Bismarck's face immediately turned rosy, and his previously dull eyes became blurred. This. Bismarck was speechless for a moment. Although Zara had raised this issue intentionally or unintentionally when chatting with Veneto and others a few days ago, although Bismarck turned away at that time, it did not mean that she don't care. Just like today's conversation can be postponed to tomorrow morning, but after everything was done, when I saw Charybdis leaving Qin Ji's room, I wanted to come in and see him by some strange combination. It wasn't until Qin Ji raised the matter again in front of her that she, who had always been calm, finally started to panic. She has been fighting for Iron Blood all her life, and she has never considered her own affairs. Even though she knew that she had a sister, she didn't care much. She dedicated everything to Iron Blood. But the strong heartbeat at this moment has never happened before. Is this what I have always expected? Seeing Bismarck's tangled and panic expression, Qin Ji felt very surprised. Because Bismarck has always been synonymous with calmness and rationality in Qin Ji's heart, Qin Ji is very assured of her. No matter what other people in the port area think, he trusts her. Are you unwilling? Qin Ji said with a smile. No, Bismarck quickly shook his head. I just didn't expect that the commander would say this. If it was a joke, please don't tease me. Qin Ji shook his head. How could it be a joke? You should know that I never joke about these serious matters. We have been together for so long. You and I both understand your character and my character. I said this to you after careful consideration. I want to respond to your feelings. Perhaps this is the most direct way. Accepting the vow ring does not necessarily mean becoming a wedding ship, but a vow that we will be together in the future. Bismarck looked at the serious Qin Ji and shook his head at him. No, it's not that I don't accept the commander's kindness, it's just that I'm not very good at expressing emotions. As the commander said, we have lived together for such a long time and know each other very well, so this should have been a matter of course, and there is no such thing as willingness or unwillingness. I want you to know that I am very happy just to see you by my side. As for the rest, it is just a luxury for people like me. How could it be? Qin Ji looked at Bismarck with an unknown expression on his face, smiled and held her hand. Happiness, for humans, only once more. So, don't think too much. Since we have chosen to be together, we will create more happiness in the future instead of simply stopping here. After saying these words, Qin Ji stood up and came to the cabinet under Bismarck's gaze. Opening the cabinet, he took out a small box. Bismarck, who had sharp eyes, could naturally see what the small box looked like and what was inside. And her heart was beating uncontrollably at this moment. This strange feeling made her a little panicked, but more of it was the expectation deeper in her heart. Qin Ji didn't stop. After taking out the box containing the Ring of Oath, he walked towards Bismarck. But this time he did not sit next to Bismarck, but took Bismarck's hand and pulled her up. Looking at the blushing Bismarck, Qin Ji smiled and said, "For other people, I usually invite them out, and then give them the oath ring in the name of a date. But for you, I don't know what to do. Should I ask you out and hand you the ring, or do something else? After all, you are different from them. Perhaps it is precisely because of this that this opportunity today is special. I want to give it to you now. Whether it is as a close comrade in the future or as a wedding ship, it is all up to you to decide." Looking at the smile on Qin Ji's face and the box of the oath ring in his hand, Bismarck's heart suddenly became firm. Although his face was still full of expressions, the outcome was already determined. "Commander, do you know? When I appear in front of my compatriots, I must be uncompromising and move forward courageously. I cannot simply be Bismarck, who is not good at expressing emotions, but must be an invincible iron-blooded leader." When he said this, Bismarck's expression softened. "But every time I am in front of you, I can feel a little relaxed, and I don't need to put the same persistence on you when facing my compatriots. At least I can let go of this burden a little when I'm in front of you. As you said, human beings are greedy by nature. When it comes to happiness, everyone wants more, including me. So if Commander is willing, I very much look forward to chasing these happiness with you in the future." As soon as Bismarck finished speaking, Qin Ji hugged her and said, "It's great to hear you say that. Commander." Bismarck felt Qin Ji's embrace. Although her heartbeat was still very fast, she felt an unusual sense of peace. "This feeling is so good." Leaning on Qin Ji's shoulder, Bismarck said softly, "What expression should I show at this time?" "Just smile," Qin Ji said softly. "Smile. I know. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 733. Aren't you going to stay for a while longer? King George V looked at Qin Ji in front of him and said with a pleading expression. Thank you for your kindness, but I have to go to other camps next. After all, we have already agreed when we parted, and I am also planning to rush back before the spring festival in Donghuang. After all, there are still many people staying in the port area. I hope to spend this festival with them, Qin Ji said with a smile. King George V nodded. In this case, I will no longer retain you. I hope that if you have the opportunity in the future, you can come to the royal family as a guest. The royal door will always be open to you. Thank you. The scenery of Fog City is very beautiful. If possible, I would like to take them here again. I also welcome the royal family to Guam as a guest, Qin Ji said with a smile. Yes, after all, we have signed a cooperation agreement now, and there will be some troubles when the time comes, King George V said with a smile. Then let's set off, Qin Ji said with a smile. Well, smooth sailing. Good. Saying goodbye to everyone in the royal family, Qin Ji boarded the command ship at the dock accompanied by his ship's wife. Then the whistle was blown and the ship gradually left the port and headed northeast. On the command ship, looking at the royal family getting further and further away, Qin Ji couldn't help but smile, and then turned his head. Our first stop is over, and the whole process went very smoothly, and the next step is the Northern Alliance. What do you think of Northern United? Several high-level ship girls looked at each other, and the first one to speak was Soviet Rosia. I communicated with them during the battle in the sea, and I also spent a lot of time with Mercury Memorial, Ganget, and Aurora before. What can be felt is that the fundamental purpose of Northern United has not changed, advocating collectivism and contribution to society, having firm goals and the fearless courage required to achieve them. And currently, the Northern Alliance has transferred almost all of its fleet to the polar regions. This time the Northern Alliance participated in the Atlantic attack. It was all because the sirens in the polar regions suddenly disappeared and were replaced by those on the Atlantic coast. So I don't think the commander has anything to worry about during this trip to the Northern Alliance, and with Aurora's help, I believe it will achieve a very satisfactory result just like the royal family. Qin Ji looked at the serious Soviet Rosia and couldn't help but nodded. I understand. In fact, it can be seen from previous actions that the Northern Alliance is tantamount to dominating the Azalain, and they will focus on the north. But they are not very happy to see Azalain being monolithic. This is related to their interests. So I don't have too many worries about this Northern joint implementation. I just want to hear your opinions. The situation, the commander said, was before, but now the situation in the world has changed. The Northern Alliance should have this awareness. Even if they rarely participate in Azalain affairs, I believe they will not stop us from making Azalain a monolithic entity, King George V said. I think so. At least when the commander came to this world, the blueprints of the Monarch research ship discovered by the Northern Alliance in the polar regions were handed over to the entire Azalain, the company responded. Qin Ji nodded. The company is right, so based on these circumstances, we can now formulate goals for this time. We don't ask for too much from Northern United. We just hope to reach strategic agreement and scientific research cooperation, maintain close intelligence sharing on their direction of action, and provide active assistance when assistance is needed. That's about it. Actually, I feel that we can still strive for more. These should be regarded as our bottom line, and we can speak more during negotiations, Bismarck said. I agree with Bismarck. In the current world situation, we have the strength to demand more. We are no longer the fleet that had to look at the faces of each camp. We have the strength to safeguard our own interests. Let the majesty of our fleet spread throughout the sea area, Veneto said passionately. Will this irritate the Northern Alliance? Richelieu asked. Since they invited us in the first place, I believe they have already realized this. If they don't have the courage to negotiate with us, then the Northern Alliance is really being underestimated, Bismarck said in a cold voice. Well, as the commander, Qin Ji said conclusively, just follow what Bismarck said. We cannot be weak when dealing with some strong camps. We must know that there will still be iron blood after the Northern Alliance. So the people negotiating this time were Bismarck and Soviet Rosia. That's it? Clear. Seeing everyone answering together, Qin Ji said with a smile, that's it for the rest of the plan. This time we will go faster on the Northern Joint trip. There are several camps behind us, and we have to go back to Guam later. Haha, Commander, it's because there are relatively few people from the Northern Alliance in our fleet, so this time we don't have to invite as many people as the royal family to the Northern Alliance, right? King George V said with a smile. Ahem, there's no need to be so direct. What's more, even in the Northern Alliance, I can ask you to go sightseeing together, Qin Ji said with some embarrassment. Ha, then will the commander give you the ring of oath? King George V joked. As soon as he said this, Qin Ji clearly felt that the eyes of the several ship girls surrounding him became a little more eager, except for Bismarck of course. Qin Ji couldn't help but be speechless. Since you asked that, I'll explain it clearly. For me, giving a ring to someone is not like being a commander in this world. Although the oath ring also represents other meanings, for me, it is a further sublimation of the relationship between two people. It represents trust, mutual support, and the most precious love of mankind. In simple terms, that's a proposal. So as long as our relationship makes me feel that we have reached that point, I will hand over the realm of vows to you, and I will also prepare a unique wedding ceremony for you, just like the glory. This is my promise and it is valid for each and every one of you, including those of you who have received rings at the royal before. I see, is that why the commander didn't give the ring to me when he was in the royal family? King George V smiled and said, then come to me more often. Food and fighting are my two major interests. Although you can fight alone, but beauty is too lonely to enjoy alone. If commander is willing, I also hope to share it with you. I'm extremely honored, Qin Ji smiled. Suddenly, I feel like I'm looking forward to it too, Veneto said with a smile. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu Ji. Chapter 734. How many days do we have until the Northern Alliance? Qin Ji sat on the sofa in the living room of the command ship and said to the monarch beside him. We'll be there in 2 days, the monarch replied. Commander, what's the matter? Qin Ji shook his head. I feel something abnormal. Have you noticed it? Although there is a safe period after the siren tide, it has been such a long time and we have not encountered any at sea. To any siren fleet. We have actually noticed what the commander said, but so far there have been no unexpected situations, and the aircraft carrier of our fleet has sent carrier-based aircraft deep into the Atlantic Ocean, and no abnormality has been found. Maybe it's because the siren tide this time is so powerful that the safety period is longer? The monarch frowned, and then said to Qin Ji. Qin Ji thought for a moment. I don't know, maybe we can no longer think about the current situation in the world with the previous thinking. Yes, after the world has changed, we really can't think with the previous thinking. Maybe the siren tide has been changing, the monarch said. It's possible, but no matter what happens in the future, we must be fully prepared, Qin Ji affirmed. At this time, a figure sat next to Qin Ji. What did the commander just say? What do you mean by being fully prepared? Qin Ji turned around and saw New Jersey wearing a fleece jacket and holding a cup of hot coffee in his hand. Are you still used to it? Qin Ji asked with a smile. Is the commander talking about the weather? New Jersey didn't answer, but asked instead. Qin Ji nodded. Not long after setting off from the royal palace, the weather suddenly turned cold, and it even started snowing on the sea. The ship girls were very happy to stay in the warm south for such a long time. Almost every deck of the command ship was filled with people enjoying the snow. There are also submarines and destroyers going to play on the sea, which is a bit lively. Although I have never seen snow before when I was summoned by the commander, there are memories of snow in my memory. What's more, New Jersey, which is represented by the name of my ship, has 4 distinct seasons all year round, so it is quite suitable for this kind of climate. Adapted New Jersey smiled. But you still have to take measures to keep warm. The temperature in northern United may reach -40 degrees recently, Chin-Ji said with concern. I know, but the most important thing is that the commander should also pay attention to his own measures to keep warm, New Jersey said. Chin-Ji pointed to the coat he was wearing. Hey, I've been wrapped up like this before I get to the Northern Union. Then after I get to the Northern Union, I'll turn into a rice dumpling. Haha, actually Commander looks quite chubby in this kind of clothes, New Jersey smiled. Chin-Ji licked his lips and said, just be cute. Anyway, as long as you are happy. Hey, what was the commander talking to the monarch just now? His face looked a little solemn, New Jersey asked. It was not Chin-Ji who answered this question, but the monarch. This is the issue we discussed together yesterday, the monarch said calmly. She has always had this indifferent temperament towards other people in the port area, and she only smiles when she is in front of Chin-Ji. Well, a bit like Bismarck. But compared to Bismarck, who didn't know how to show his emotions, the monarch did it entirely because of his own thoughts. Hearing the monarch's answer, New Jersey suddenly realized, is that why the commander said to be fully prepared? Chin-Ji nodded. Although the crisis has passed this time, it does not mean that the crisis is over. The mass-produced warships dispatched by the Arbiter and Siren before were not originally available in this world, so we cannot use our previous inherent thinking. Let's think about the future. So be careful in everything and don't be careless in the slightest. Although what the commander said is true, you have to consider the good side of everything. Maybe it's because the Siren Tide used their accumulated power this time and hasn't recovered yet, so the sea seems so calm. After they recover, I believe the sea area will be as lively as before. Jersey said with a smile. Well, this is also an explanation, I hope so, Chin-Ji said with a smile. Then Commander doesn't need to think about other things now, right? New Jersey rolled his eyes. Chin-Ji asked doubtfully, yes, what's wrong? It's snowing outside again. I wanted to go out with the commander to see it, so I came here to call you, New Jersey said with a smile. Okay, let's not go to the top deck. The sea breeze there is too cold. Let's take a look in the aisle outside the living room, Chin-Ji said quickly, remembering the scene where he accompanied the ship girls to watch the snow. Okay, it doesn't matter where you are. The most important thing is that the commander is with me. After saying this with a smile, New Jersey stood up, took Chin-Ji's hand and walked outside. After the two of them left their positions, the monarch stretched out his left hand to pick up the teacup, and his eyes caught the oath ring on his finger. Then she put the teacup on the table, stood up, and walked towards the place where Chin-Ji left before. Arriving outside the cabin, heavy snow like ice crystals fell from the sky, fell on the sea, and disappeared. Looking along the sea, Chin-Ji suddenly saw a few people playing on the sea. Tisk, Tashkent is okay. The ship uniform she is wearing is very warm, but aren't the javelins cold? Chin-Ji frowned and looked into the distance. As long as we activate the mental cube, we won't feel the cold anymore. Although it will have a certain impact, it won't have a big impact, New Jersey, who was following Chin-Ji, said. But why do the Northern United ships wear thick velvet clothes? Chin-Ji asked doubtfully. That should be based on environmental factors, New Jersey replied. As I said, although as long as we activate the mental cube, we will not feel the cold and we can fight more autonomously. But after all, there is a time when we go ashore. At that time, we will stop activating the mental cube, and our bodies will be like those of ordinary girls. Of course, we will feel cold. The clothes worn by Northern United are obviously made according to the environment there. In this way, even if the mind cube is not turned on, one's body temperature can be guaranteed. So it's like this, Chin-Ji suddenly realized, it seems that I have to continue to study. I will have to understand more about such common sense issues in the future. Haha, if Commander is willing to learn, I can teach you in the future, New Jersey said with a smile. Okay, then I'll leave it to you, Shinji agreed. Ha, it's settled, let's watch the snow together first.